Good evening and welcome back. Hailing frequencies are kind of open tonight on the Last Excelsior as we've been struggling to fight off some tech issues. Sam will be person not appearing in this film tonight. It basically whenever Video Ninja decides to let Sam play. So we'll have Sam coming and going until we can get this figured out. The other option was just to keep delaying until something worked. So we'll be fighting through it and trying to get things kicked off here. But until then, let's go ahead and get started tonight. Right off the bat, I'm just going to see, does anybody have any announcements before we kick off tonight's game?
Yes. I've got a couple of announcements.
Yeah, go ahead.
First, I'll do some announcements on behalf of Old Haven. We've got the first episode of Bad Meets Evil, which is airing tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific, so you can check that out if you want some more novel on your platter. Also, in the Old Haven Discord, the movie night voting has opened up, so if you want to vote for a genre of movie that you want to check out, go head over to the Discord there and put in your vote. I think I do anything that's not the genre of Highlander just to really piss off Noir. I think so. Just to make sure that there's no chance Highlander's chosen as a movie, just pick anything. My own personal announcements. As I've talked about a bunch before, I'm producing and also performing in and also writing a ttrpg and using it for an actual play called Second Machinations, which is a mech kind of meets divinity actual play podcast that's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. The exact date's going to be announced within this week, I believe, I think. But if you want to keep an eye out for that, please do, because we got a killer cast. We literally just finished one of the recording sessions right before this session, and it was incredibly badass and emotional. And I'm still running on that high, so you might see some of that bleed over into this. But keep an eye out for that. But that's all of my.
Okay.
I'll hop in with yes, thank you, Drex. Phase 1 officially does begin tomorrow. Same time, same channel. Bad Meets Evil. There's a weird little side thing happening as well, and I might need your help with that a little bit. There is a weird multiversal entity that's kind of been around the Noirville stuff. So if you see anything strange tomorrow, could you please be sure to let us know on the socials? I was editing and I just kind of saw some weird multiversal stuff happening, and I could really use like a name to whatever this entity is. I'm depending on you guys to help me out with that major. And really quickly, thank you all for all the support going into this stuff. I don't know why you're spamming my channel right now, but thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I truly hope that you all like all the work that we've put into everything that's happening tomorrow. So thank you. That's it.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, Caitlin, go ahead.
Super speedy announcements. As I've been saying the past couple of weeks, I have been streaming on my own channel and playing GeoGuessr, and I've been putting all of those GeoGuessr VODs on my YouTube. There's a whole playlist full of them. They're super fun. I have now, since last week, there's 2 new VODs in there because I streamed on Friday. I streamed like 2 days ago, and I streamed yesterday. So that's like 6 hours of streams you can watch, put on the background, whatever you want. I think they're really fun. I really like GeoGuessr, so you should check them out. And then also you should check out Sam's YouTube channel while they're stuck in a transport accident. You should like all their videos and comment I love science on every single video. Thank you very much.
The only announcement that I have to throw out there is that issue 2 of Stranger Things, The Rise of Hellfire, has been out this month. So definitely go check it out. It was a blast writing that with one Jody Hauser. So I hope you guys like it. I don't think we have any other announcements tonight. I think that's about it. So why don't we go ahead and kick off tonight's episode of The Last Excelsior. just don't know how much I'm going to owe the bounty hunter, because I've been trying to destroy Sam for years, and it's just weird.
You must have paid like the big bucks for this one.
It was like at least. I mean, it was a car. Are we back? Welcome back to the Last Excelsior, everybody. We're going to go ahead and kick off tonight's episode and pick up where we left off. Where we last left off, you guys had just rescued, rather kind of stumbled upon rescuing, a wayward criminal smuggler who is apparently connected somehow to this unusual conspiracy that you've all kind of found yourselves in, that's interconnected somehow, tracking down these aging power cells that are being collected and sold to some kind of unknown entity, some shadow players that have in turn blackmailed or basically extorted this person that you have rescued by kidnapping a family member. The big reveal during last session, when you guys all managed to rescue Casey Chang, is that her sister, Jin Chang, is a former S-31 research operative and is linked to the creation of the mutagenic virus that the Federation used against the Dominion to try to bring an end to the Dominion War. Biological weapons are a huge no-no. But S-31 does what it can to win and protect the safety of the Federation. Happy to fulfill the villain role and toss aside all of the optimism that Father Roddenberry injected into the entire series. I have many thoughts and opinions about S-31. That being said, you guys have been given a directive from up on high. The USS Pride is mainly a ship functioning in the reserve fleet, which means her roles are whatever Starfleet needs you for. Typically, they are roles involving some menial tasks, like shipping medical supplies to colonies that don't really need them that badly, but need a refresher, or doing minor repairs on stations who need it. A workhorse ship. Reserve fleets are always the ships that are on the verge of going back into the mothballs or going into them for the first time, and they are the ones that are kind of fulfilling the roles that the major fleet does not partake. But the Pride, being a platform testbed for a lot of the Peregrine fighters of Griffin Wing, has been given a multitude of tasks. You have officially been given a task by Starfleet because, as you recall, as the brass told you, Captain, the USS Pride is the only starship within 2 weeks of where you are right now, out by Drorzana Station. The bulk of the fleet is in coordination with the Romulan Star Empire and the Klingon Empire as they are attempting to tackle the monumental task of moving billions and billions of people away from the Hobus star, which is, according to scientists, within about half decade's worth of time could explode. So now, the USS Pride finds herself being given the task of peeling back the layers and finding out what is going on. What is the nature of this strange ghost-like vessel that apparently is lingering out there? What is the nature of the interest in these outdated power cells that you're all tracking? Where did these anti-Chronton variants come from? And clearly it's connected to some kind of future event of some kind. And then, of course, you have the Klingon vessel, which is sort of trapped in a time pocket and cannot decloak unless it wants to risk disappearing into non-existence. So, with that all in mind, we are picking up where we last left off, where the captain had just been given the directive by Starfleet, had been ordered to do what they need to do to find out what is behind this conspiracy and try at all costs to rescue Jin Chang. It's very rare when Starfleet uses the words "at all costs." She is a high priority target, and Starfleet's concerns, Captain, you would be well aware, are finding an S-31 operative that's that high up in the command of the former command structure of the organization, and one who had a direct knowledge of a bioweapon that nearly exterminated the founders. That is an S-tier target. The Federation needs to rescue her and get her away from anybody who is trying to use her. So to specify, just to clarify, Federation wants you to rescue her. They are trying to pull her away from danger. They can work about debriefing her and possibly putting her on trial for war crimes after all of this. But right now, she needs to be rescued and saved from whatever she's involved in.
All right. If I recall correctly, we formulated a plan in which essentially we're going to have Taeyeon and Commander Cadence fly close to the handoff, as it'll be harder for them to be spotted. Or Drax, I just want to be clear, or did you decide to actually smuggle onto her ship?
I think we end up deciding on being me being in Cadence's Peregrine, and having just that be flying quiet.
Gotcha.
Yeah, nearby.
All right. So yeah, the plan was for you to be on the Peregrine with Cadence. Also, we're having our science team attempt to lock on to the transmission once there's the proof of life. Was there anything else that I'm missing, team?
I spoke to Casey to just ask them to keep the conversation going for as long as possible when they do make that contact.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think there was like a relay station that we had in mind. I think it was like there was one relay station, and that's where we were going to kind of prop up with our science team,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Not to pick up the
and then
signal.
and then try to get Casey to talk. I think as long as possible. I think that was like
There's a subspace relay station that's in the sector. It's not very close to the coordinates of this meetup, however. So to give you guys a quick a refresher, the system that this meetup happens in is technically the scientific designation of the system is the AN-08S11C system, or more commonly known as the Tau Neolus system. It is a system that has largely been abandoned for the past almost 150 years. There was a mine that was used some time ago, a long time ago, in the early days of Starfleet, that has been defunct for a long time. Used to be used for something that was a bit controversial back in the day, but has been completely depleted and closed down for, damn nearly 200 years. That mine is apparently where she makes physical, like she meets up physically with them and has the cargo transported.
So I think the way that I understood it was that is where we park the Pride. The Peregrine is essentially above, like orbiting around the actual drop. If things go bad on the ground, the Peregrine can bail them out. If things go bad for the Peregrine, at maximum warp, how long would it take us from where we're sitting to where they're doing the handoff for us to get there?
I don't think we can warp that. We can't warp in a system, right? Like.
So the quick question: are you talking about jumping from? Are you talking about having the USS Pride hang far enough back that you can just do a quick jump to where the drop off is? Is that what you're asking?
We had talked about parking the Pride at the relay station as a
at the subspace relay station.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. I'll tell you what. I'm going to do this. I'll give you an exact. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spend threat for this.
How much?
Yeah, how much?
I'm going to spend 2 points of threat.
So close.
And
we need a Romulan.
I'm going to spend 2 points of threat for this, and I'm going to deliberately make it so that relay station is at maximum warp is 6 hours from the drop off.
Okay. So when we had discussed the relay station before, it was the reason it became relevant was that we figured that if they're going to be making contact in this system, that it's going to bounce off of this relay station, and that's why we were going to plug in there. Is that the case, or are there other relay stations that would?
No, there would be other. I'm gonna revise that real quick. I'm gonna split that in half and say 3 hours. Because at maximum warp, you could fly across an entire sector and a half at 6 hours. So in which case, I'll say it's about half that. So I'll say 3 hours away.
Okay.
Still means whoever's at the drop off is kind of on their own.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah. So Tauniolis is remote enough in a remote part of space that there's not a lot of sensor relay stations out there.
Mhm.
So that's kind of why it's the nearest subspace relay station.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure that I was thinking about that correctly. That it was that's why we had intended on, or that's why we had started talking about it, because we're like, if they're making contact with someone, it would probably be bouncing off of this station.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
Captain, that still sounds like a good plan to me. If things go sour, I'm sure we can get out of there as quickly as possible. But
We could
fingers
also
crossed it
send
doesn't.
I think what we might want to consider looking at, because this is, and you guys let me know what you think here. We have a peregrine that is specifically built for doing what we're parking the Pride to do. The Sensor Scout has an ability. The ship gathers raw data for analysis and sends it to the Pride or another vessel in communication with this Griffin. When the ship is active in a scene, characters aboard the Pride who perform task roles associated by this ship sensor may re-roll for assistance. All that is to say, we might be able to split the difference. We have one peregrine which is carrying Drax. We have another peregrine sitting at the relay, and we're in the middle. That way, essentially, instead of it being 3 hours, we could split the difference. What do you guys think on this?
allows us to be 3 places at once, which I believe is part of the mission statement for the Peregrines.
It's literally what gives the USS Pride a huge advantage. Having a wing of peregrine fighters gives you guys the opportunity to really spread a net, basically.
I say we use what we've got.
Got all that, Sam? Good to go?
We're running their ship, Big Bird and Stealth Ship? Or are you proposing a further?
So what I'm proposing right now, and I would like to do this in character using the relay ability. The plan is to utilize the unique features of the Peregrine Wing. By parking a Sensor Scout at the relay, it'll be able to transmit all the data that it'll be collecting from the drop. We'll have you, Commander Cadence, and Commander Taeon orbiting the drop, making sure that nothing goes untoward. We'll have the Pride in the middle. That way, we'll be able to, at maximum warp, get to either location in time to assist should it need to be assisted. And I am going to especially request that both peregrines have in them transporter inhibitors to make sure that we don't have any unwarranted leaves of absence.
What would the power signature be like on a transporter inhibitor if it is given off enough energy that it compromises stealth?
Is your vessel not able? Is the stealth reconnaissance peregrine not able to compensate for that additional output of energy?
No. We're not active stealth. That would be in violation of the Treaty of Algernon. A treaty of all time, sir.
Yes, heaven forbid we break that rule. I would like to roll my rally.
Roll your rally.
Okie dokie.
Since we have a Sam, we got 1 momentum off the top.
Hey, gang. That is President's command. And I'd like to use that one momentum we have to buy an additional die.
Do it.
Okay, now we're cooking with gas. That is going to be four momentum.
Heck yeah.
Bah. Hold on. Yep.
Captain Commander Cadence does have a point about the energy signature. I think if we do put transporter inhibitors on a peregrine, it probably should be the one by the relay station just to keep that one safe. I think it's best if we keep quiet in both.
And if Commander Taon and I are transported, I recommend using the Make Them Sorry They Ever Did So protocol, which Commander Taon has demonstrated excellent proficiency in.
It's one of my favorite protocols.
I will have your hide if I have to hunt down either one of you. That is to say, please
Argue with the
sneaky.
engineers, sir, not me.
I've made you worry enough about me, Captain. It won't happen again.
No phantom Jem'Hadars, no phantom Klingons. Deal?
Sounds good to me.
I hardly think they have a say, Captain.
It'll just make me feel better.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we have a plan then. Let me know what your wing will need in terms of assistance from the Pride. We'll get to it. Are there any other questions or concerns?
Did we go over the positioning of the relay vis-a-vis the station, the deuterium mine? And
About 3 hours warp.
3 hours or how many light years if we're stationing the Pride in between? Will it be visible on long range if we interpose
Oh, you're
it?
muted. Eric, you're muted.
3 hours is maximum warp. At maximum warp, it's 3 hours.
I'm asking more about the long-range sensor capability of spotting something that is in between the relay.
You can
and
absolutely
the
do that.
mining
3
site.
light years is within the within the sensor reach of even the peregrine fighters.
Which would mean that putting something as a midpoint between the relay and
Would the
the
Pride be
deuterium mine, like the
Pride be
Pride,
detected?
would be
Yeah.
quite spottable.
Oh yeah. Starships typically can see things anywhere up to 12 light years away with long range sensors, depending on how powerful they are. Like for example, the Sally Ride could almost see the surface of a planet from 12 light years away because it had advanced sensor suites and long range advanced sensors, which is astonishing. A standard Starship can see anywhere up to about 8 light years or a full sector's distance. Now, keep in mind, that being said, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're able to understand what it is they're detecting. So for example, if it's at long range, it's much like spotting a silhouette on the horizon. You can see a ship, but you don't know what it is. You might, or it might, you can detect something on long range sensors and it might cue off that it's a Federation starship, but you won't have an idea of like class or even you might be able to ascertain its speed and even heading, but those kinds of things are highly detailed at long range. So there is a granularity to it.
I am wondering, there is a possibility in which, I mean, we don't know how powerful these individuals are or how advanced their technology is, but there is also a plan in which we ask the Admiral to put out an official seeming notice or something that is public that we are surveying in the area exactly where we want to be, if there's anything in there that could theoretically be noteworthy. So it wouldn't be shocking that there was a ship, didn't seem like we were lurking in any way, or if that's too overboard, I'm not sure.
I'm worried that might inspire a change of venue for their drop-off.
Well, not there, not at the mines. I'll say where our halfway point was my...
Right, some kind of planet to survey or something.
So it doesn't seem odd that there is if they do detect us, if they do have sensors more advanced than what we know, they're not. We don't seem as though we're lurking.
And at this point, they can't communicate further to Casey about the drop location. They have to go through with this one, as is. No time to make new plans.
Again, it may be overboard, but
No, there's nothing wrong with having contingencies. I like this idea. It works in conjunction with something that I was considering as well. If what we're worried about is being discovered, very much like seeing something off in the distance of a horizon, maybe confusing the image might be more in line with what we may want to consider doing. Finding a output of energy. How many times have we encountered on our adventures alone ionic storms that have output interference, parking somewhere difficult to see may be something we would like to consider. That said, I will reach out to the Admiral to put out a posting. Well, I can't guarantee that it'll be done. It's a good idea. Wonderful thinking, Commander. Any other insights?
No, make that emission signature the sensor jock's problem. They seem excited enough about that kind of thing.
You're not wrong. Captain Jurin to Raleigh.
So then that's going to bring up, is this a ship meeting, or you guys, where is the scene that you've kicked off taking place right now?
We're in the galley.
Oh, you're in the galley talking about this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If that's okay with you guys, I figure we made it. Let's eat and talk. It's the opposite of West Wing.
So keeping in mind that, so when you say the galley, are you talking about the new galley that you've just commissioned? Because that's okay. So to give you like a refresher of game time, that was maybe 2 hours ago.
Yeah, that way nobody's there. It's just us talking.
You said eat and talk. What I was
we replicated some food,
replicated food for sure. The galley's not really functioning just yet. Westlaw is currently in his quarters right now, pouring over volumes of and thinking about how he's going to stock this thing. So you guys have yourself a pretty open, informal feeling, but very secluded conference space right now. As food is sitting on the main space in the middle, which will be some of the main areas where food will be prepared. Raleigh has been quietly listening to all this, and when they hear their name, they finally perk up and go, "You want me to censor jock something, Captain?"
If you could find me any anomalies or any ionic storms, anything within the area that will make it harder for us to be seen, that would be appreciated.
I know that the Starfleet survey was last reported in the area about 12 years ago. And occasionally astro navigation charts are updated pretty regularly. I could certainly refer to the Federation database to find out if there's anything out there. And as we get closer, I could use long-range sensors to find out if anything has moved in. Yeah, I can look into it.
Sounds good. Now that we all know what our plan is, how would we break it?
The only unknown we have right now is the technological capabilities of these people we're going to be tracing down. If they are from a different time, most likely the future, it's almost guaranteed they're going to have more advanced technology than what we have available to us.
This is true. And with the potential of them having a temporal advantage, we would also need to consider that they might have the benefit of hindsight in advance.
I'm not entirely sure what we can do to prevent going against, to them, lived history, other than at least make it a pain.
It does
go
seem as though we've surprised them once before. If Taeon's encounters are anything to go off of, so perhaps we're already out of line with what they've expected.
When we look in conjunction to everything that we have encountered, when is it that we have caught them on their back foot?
Taeon.
They were not expecting me to be able to interact with them when they visited through time, that phantom assault. Didn't think I could, I suppose, assault back. They seemed surprised when I plunged that dagger in their chest, and even my initial presence of watching an interaction between one of the Jem'Hadar and one of the Romulans, they seemed surprised that I was there as well. I think, at the very least, me peeking into their plans, their conversations, that alone has been surprising to them. I don't know what else has been beyond that, though.
The Prism interface has also informed us that something changed in this timeline, so I think we can only extrapolate from that perhaps they don't have the exact order of events from here on out, but there's no guarantee.
You muted, Eric.
Eric, you're muted.
Pavin starts rubbing his temples. The chief engineer just kind of just says, I feel like we could think in circles about this.
Of course.
We just don't even know who we're up against.
So let's think less and do more.
I have to agree with Commander Cadence here. I think acting and reacting to what happens afterwards is all we can really do right now.
I think the plan is solid. I think we execute it and we go from there.
Yeah. I suppose that's all we can do.
To be fair, Captain, even when we're not dealing with temporal anomalies, we don't always know the outcome regardless. I say we treat it as a regular mission.
I feel a hole in our guard, but we'll prepare for it when it comes. We got the plan, everyone. Start making moves.
Hi, Captain.
Aye, sir.
All right. With that, Hata's on the bridge. You guys can enact the scene whenever you are ready to do it.
Do we, real quick above table, do we want Hata on the relay station mission? Because she's our communications person. It was the plan. That was the plan. Okay.
That's how it's going to be on relay.
Yeah, we just need to, well, I suppose that's for Cadence to decide who's flying that mission.
Yeah, it's going to be whoever does the nicest barrel roll, sir. I have standards.
Well, I'll leave you to it.
Okay.
I think we're ready to begin the mission then.
All right, then. I will say that you guys set a course for the Tau Neolis system.
All right.
In transit, as the USS Pride jumps to warp. You have a few hours if anybody wants to do any other scenes on your way. Otherwise, we can simply cut to. And if I remember correctly, you are warping into the halfway point between the drop-off and this relay station, subspace relay station. It will say roughly a jumble, I would say maybe like 12 hours at warp before you finally arrive on station to where you need to go. Upon arrival, Raleigh is going to report back that there is no evidence that there is any spatial anomalies or anything in the system. En route, Raleigh approaches you on the bridge, Captain, with the data pad and presents it to you and says, I've cross-referenced this with everything I can from astronavigation and the Starfleet databases, and that system is just empty, Captain. It is a bunch of rocks floating in space around a star. And looks like it was pretty heavily mined, but around that system is just emptiness. It's an area in space where it's about as far out of the way as you can get. Whoever chose this spot clearly chose it because of where it's located. I'm not detecting any significant spatial anomalies. There was a comet that passed through the system about 4 years ago, but it's not due back for another 8 years.
Would you be able to get me the chemical makeup of those rocks?
You see, they crane their head to the right and they go, rocks. Which rocks? The comet. Oh. Yes, I can. And they turn back to their science station. They come back a few moments later. It was a class 3 comet and hands it over to you.
I would like to spend 2 momentum.
Okay.
I would like to create a trait.
Okay.
Okay, I got the techno babble. Here we go. I think we need to uncrumble the mercury gluon containment field around these comets. That way the optronic wave should send out a neogenic phaser, which should make for, and the trait will be the perfect cover.
Okay. I will absolutely allow this on one condition. You will have to behave like a comet, which means you can't be at station keeping. You have to be in constant motion. So the Pride has to be moving at roughly the same speed as the comet if you want to keep a perfect cover.
Chekhov voice. I can do that.
I was just going to say, it's a good thing I have a hell of a pilot.
It's not a problem. It's just charting a straight shot. But it basically means you're going to have to travel at almost full impulse in a single direction, which is not significant, but it does mean creating this trait, if you deviate and you guys are going to be far enough away where it's not going to be necessarily easy to spot a deviation in your flight path. Do you know what I mean? But if you deviate significantly and it is detected at long range, it's going to blow the cover. It'll destroy the trait. But that's the only contingency I'll put on that. But with that trait spend, I will allow the Pride to be completely assumed undetectable at that halfway point.
Everybody clap for Captain. That was really good.
If XP works as it does in the standards and as the standards systems, then I would throw one at you. But
I would like to calm Lieutenant Commander Tavi.
Yes, Captain.
I need a word with you. I think I've altered the plan, and I'm gonna need your expertise.
On my way.
I am essentially just going to explain what we're doing. That way, our helmsman knows beforehand. Yeah, I'm just explaining the plan to Taveen and going, can you do this?
My eyes closed, sir. Not a problem.
All right. Well, that's one less concern I have. Thank you.
all right.
Now I'll be able to say I can assist you if you need an assist on the health check.
Yes.
All right. As you were all closing in on the system, Casey's going to assume position in her starship, which is currently still I'm going to say because it can't really dock with the USS Pride, it's easy enough to keep her in a tractor beam while y'all are traveling at warp. So when you guys arrive on scene, as you guys, rather I should say, as you were approaching, she steps onto the transporter pad to beam to her ship. And anybody who's in the transporter room can see that she's a little nervous as she steps up onto the transporter pad. And was anybody going with her on her ship? Because her next destination, once you get out of system, her next destination is the asteroid mine, where she's going to be meeting up with whoever's there.
Yeah, we have to drop her off first because she is slow like school
She
bus.
is much slower, yeah.
So we drop her off. She gets going. We drop off the sensor boat at the relay. And I guess we drop me and Taeyeon off last.
Yeah.
Okie doke.
Taeyeon has a bag of trail mix because Cadence had said to bring snacks for the flight.
You should bring snacks, it's true.
Yeah.
Can I replicate snacks? Irrelevant. We don't run the replicator when we're on stealth. Absolutely not.
There is one thing I would like to plot out with Casey, if I could. Since we've done a rundown on her ship, I would like to show her a configuration of energy output. Nothing that would be strange. It's kind of like turning the bass all the way up on the passenger seat in your car radio as a method to let us know something is wrong.
Oh, to kind of signal?
Yep.
Like blink twice if... Gotcha.
Like, turn on your left. If we see your left turn signal going off, I'm bringing hell.
Right. Okay. So you basically give her a subtle signal that she can ping outward with if something is gone very wrong.
Something like, if somebody turns their signal on, it's like, oh, whoops, I accidentally hit that. Just something that could be,
It's easy enough. We'll say that you basically give her a small device that it's easy enough to say that if you want to say that Pavin spends an hour or so basically coming up with what is essentially a panic button that can fit onto her ship.
I specifically don't want it to be anything exterior or extra. I want it to be something that, like, if they had scanned her ship before, like, every car has a turning signal. It's just the act of turning it on that would be different.
Hata would probably come up with like a simple communications ping that everyone uses, and that if you hear her using it at a specific time, that's your cue that something is very wrong.
Yep.
Okay. At the distance you guys will be at, the signal delay will be minute, so you'll be able to have a pretty quick indication that something is up. There's probably, I would say, given the systems that she is using, there's probably going to be a full minute delay before she transmits and before it reaches you guys where you're going to be located, because she's going to be, to be blunt, her communication systems are not Federation Starship communication systems, so she doesn't quite get the speed and range that you guys do on your comms.
But she'll be broadcasting to the subspace relay.
To the subspace relay, yes.
That will be parked. We'll have someone parked on top of.
Yeah. With that, though, she just nods and says, "Okay." She beams over to her vessel. We'll say you guys come out of warp. Hours later, USS Pride emerges from warp. As soon as you do, the tractor beam disengages, and she begins to bank away in her freighter, plotting a course for the Tau Neolis system. You hear her on comms with a little bit of the hint of static coming through some of her older systems, and she goes, "Okay, Pride, I'm on my way. Don't let me down, okay?"
Hey, relax. It's like you hung out with the Federation or something.
The silence, you can imagine, is she's probably smirking to herself, and she goes, "All right. Well, I don't know what you guys say, but good luck."
Swing.
And with that, she jumps to warp. Hata monitors for a moment and says, she's achieved maximum warp and is currently heading to the Tauniola system. Whenever you are ready, Captain, we can begin the second part of the plan.
Checking in. How's everybody feeling? We ready?
Ready, Captain?
I'm going to roll for my pilots, and whoever rolls best won the barrel roll competition.
Yeah.
Will be the person who is on the sensor boat this mission. Let's
Okay.
get started. Oh. Okay. Okay. That will be Devour. Our Tellarite will be flying this mission.
Hell.
Just narrowly, by the way, behind our baseline.
Okay, so
Tomorrow.
the lone peregrine heading out. And you've got the Tellarite flying the mission.
All right.
Devar expresses his appreciation for being able to fly a mission where he's not going to have to listen to everybody's chatter over the comms for once as he boards up into the peregrine.
You know you're flying with a communications officer, right?
The great thing about communications officers, they know when to talk.
Then I trust I'm going to be getting a very happy and successful debrief at the end of all this. Eh?
Sure. Santos leans in and says, the communications officer is the XO of the ship. She gets to talk whenever she wants, my friend. Pats him on the shoulder.
All right. I think this is like that moment before the mission.
Mhm.
And if I could, I'd like to do one more rally to just inspire the troops.
So the reason why I'm gonna say no to that is because rally is technically an action you use in combat, and outside of combat, it's easy to say I'm just gonna rally every scene and generate gobs and gobs of momentum. So what I'm gonna do is outside of combat, I'm totally down for you using rally because it's actually a great system to literally pull it all together and do all that. But in the case of like leading into a scene like this, I'm going to allow it once.
Okay.
For major scene, yeah.
In which case, I'll still just give him the I'll still just have him go. Lives are depending on us as always, as is the hope of a family. So let's do what we do best. Remain professional, remain competent, and remain curious. Let's go to work, team.
Hi, Captain.
Tellarite smiles and says, hell yeah, Captain. I promise I won't scratch your birds. And Tellarite loads up with Hata following in tow. On the flight deck, by the way, you do see, watching all of this take place, because it's not unusual for him to be down here, but Cadence, you see for the first time, perhaps since his unofficial court-martial, where he has been stripped of his duties, he has been unofficially let go. Sultani is here on the flight deck, kind of, you've seen it plenty of times when a pilot wants to fly and can't fly. You haven't seen it on Sultani, but he is towards the back of the hangar, basically helping with some of the flight crew staff. And he is currently in the civilian uniform. But you see, he's always glancing over here, watching the loadout when this is happening. He does not have any clue as to what's going on, as it's way above his pay grade now. But you can see Sultani is one of the smartest pilots you've met. He knows something's up. So that's happening in the background as they all load up onto, you guys are using the sensor scout, is that correct? The Peregrine sensor scout, or are you using the stealth reconnaissance?
Sir, final checks. You want the sensor scout there to try to pick things up from distance or to have good relay, or do you want the transporter relay?
Yeah, and
evac specialist.
Let me go ahead and also specify this to you because it might help your planning. Subspace sensor platforms are huge. Some of them get up to scale 4. And they even can oftentimes be crewed by people. Usually it's like a lighthouse in the middle of space, and up to a crew of 6 people can live on it for months at a time before they switch out staff. So this one in particular is automated and there's no staff on board, but it's not boarding the sensor platform and using its computer's interface directly is 100% a viable option for you. Instead of you can remotely connect and try to intercept signals, but you could also board the ship. So whatever you would like to do. I bring that up.
Our NPCs will be over there. The XO is on site. She can kind of assess the situation as it is, right?
The reason why I bring it up is because just so you have a better idea of what you can do, so that you'll have a more formed idea of whether or not you should use a sensor scout or a stealth reconnaissance fighter.
Oh, definitely not the stealth. And frankly, I think we might be at too long a range to get away with the transporter relay race. Yeah. It's just I would like, if it would be possible to do a remote emergency yoink, that would be attractive. Nonetheless, I think range might not be favorable. That's all.
Okay.
Right, so would you concur with that assessment? Have I understood my equipment correctly?
That was the plan that... Oh, yeah.
Sorry, what specifically is the question?
The range on the transporter of the evac specialist, such that if I had them at the sensor relay, they would not be able to meaningfully interface with the mine, correct?
Oh, at that distance, yeah, no. Unless if this was the J.J. Abrams verse, you could beam from Earth to Kronos, but I don't believe in that crap, so no, unfortunately, you can't do that.
Transporters can do whatever the storyteller says the transporters can do.
In this case, you can't really beam across system. You'd have to be at least in system and be able to do a long range transport. But yeah.
Anything else any of them even bring to the table? I think you could just as easily send one ship as another. We're not really going to be using too many of their special abilities except the sensor scout, and that will be on site.
Sure. Okay. In which case,
you got to be stealth. You got to be stealth.
So you are going to send the sensor scout then,
as the captain ordered.
Okay, cool. I just want to keep track of what's in use and what's not. In which case, you watch the sensor scout Peregrine load up. Hata boards in the back. Seems to be quite pleased, having not been on one of the Peregrines before. Is asking all sorts of questions of Devar when the back hatch closes on her side, seals off. A few moments later, there is a rumbling sound as the repulsors come into play, and you watch the blue glow of the engines light up as the Peregrine angles up and gently coasts out through the force field and into space. After a few moments, you just see the flare up of the engines of and the impulse drive comes online and immediately banks off and vanishes from line of sight as it turns hard to port.
Down to Commander Cadence. It's been a while since I've been a passenger in a small craft. Should we be ready now? Where do you need me?
All right, come here. Tutorial time. When did you last get your rating on small craft? I assume you've flown the idle shuttle before. This, of course, isn't that because it's better.
Yes, no, it's been a while, but a rerun wouldn't hurt.
All right. That's where you sit. That is where you absolutely, under no circumstances, I cannot make this clear enough, Commander, do not sit nor touch any of this instrumentation, particularly this instrumentation. Frankly, don't even look at that one just in case. But those are all there for you. And they're pointing toward the fairly limited but present weaponry aboard a Peregriffin. If for whatever reason you feel compelled, that is what's available to you. It'll be I'll send you what you need to know on the weapon system.
Yeah, sounds good. Fingers crossed we won't need it, but if things turn sour, I'll be able to use this. This is I understand.
Well, you have a certain reputation for clearing everything out very quickly.
Yes.
Don't
Hopefully,
do that though. And you will see like a Halloween trick-or-treat sized haul of Cadence's snacks. Don't clear those out quickly.
Okay, I brought my own snacks, so I won't dip into yours unless I become particularly peckish.
We'll establish a threshold en route.
Sounds good, Commander.
Question for the crew: do we want to aux point activate Hata?
Oh,
Mm.
yes.
How many
Yeah, I'm
momentum
down.
do we have at the moment?
We
How
have
many-
well one.
2.
Well, one because it's been a new
Oh.
day. So we changed scenes. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Change things in this one, yeah.
Do we want to aux point activate Hata as a? Do we as like the NPC?
I
Well,
think
there was something that I wanted to do. So if I pitch to do that, we might generate some momentum.
Well, this
Which
is said
would be
aux
helpful.
point is different
Oxcoin
than.
is different.
Oh, okay, true.
Yeah.
Unrelated to momentum.
Gotcha.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, I definitely we want to make sure Hata does the best they can.
All right,
Give her a fighting
I'm
chance.
down.
We would like to aux point for Hata.
Okay. If somebody could please roll me a d12.
My D12s are missing. Oh,
I don't have any 12s. I don't have any 12s on my desk.
Digital dice roller 7.
Well,
All right. Thank you so much, Kato, aka Kato, for that aux point. All right, so you're activating Hata for the scene. What would you like
Mhm.
Hata to do for the scene? She now has full use of her stats as a support character.
I think we're
Suppose-
doing. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I suppose it's for Hata to do their best when tracking down this signal once this call starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, in which case I'll say that this is going to activate when things start happening.
Mhm.
That makes
So,
sense. Yeah.
okay, so when that scene is taking place, we'll say that that's when the aux crew points kicks in. What's up?
I was hoping that on the Pride we could be essentially keeping a scan on both the peregrines, so that if we notice any alterations or any attempts at attack or transport, we'd be able to notice immediately. And I've got the techno babble to do it.
Yeah, that's going to be easy to detect because in the case where Cadence was basically captured last time, it's because Cadence was in full-on stealth mode. They had powered down all of their shields. They had powered down everything that normally protects anybody from flying a peregrine from being wrenched from their ship. And in the case of the peregrines, if they're not specifically trying to stealth and they're not running in low power, you can't just beam somebody off of it because they're going to have their defenses up. But
I do believe they're going to be in that same condition that they're flying the stealth ship to
oh yeah,
not
one
be
of the
noticed.
ships will be protected. One of the ships will be F.
Yeah,
Lovely,
that's why I'm specifically attempting to boost the primary photogenic inertial injectors, so that if there's any modulation to the quantum frequency, we'll be able to notice right away and take actionable steps to prevent any loss of crew members, aka
take a point of momentum, because it's that kind of stuff that I love to hear. Y'all get into it. Caitlin starts announcing departures and maneuvers. You start dropping technobabble. Like, get yourself a momentum point.
gotcha.
Okay. Yes, you can keep track and make sure that you can monitor what's going on with that for sure. All right. So then the next step is now going to be Cadence heading out towards the asteroid. Is that correct? In stealth mode? And you've got Aeon with you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And where is Tavine in all of this? You're on the Pride, right? Because you're going to be basically
Helm.
Pride. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So definitely would describe this as splitting the party 3 ways. But the plan in place, nothing left to do then than to move into position and wait for the handoff to start happening. It's about 2 hours before everyone is fully in position and the time lines up. Long-range sensors in their current configuration, you have Avrali basically monitoring what they are seeing on the asteroid. Avrali reports the Tau Neola system that Casey's freighter has arrived. The SS Tehanu. And then things get quiet. And the quiet stretches until you see Avrali say, I just see the reporting in, Captain. Casey's ship is still in station keeping. No signs of any other vessels right now.
Okay. Let's keep a quiet eye.
Cadence, I'm going to say you've got eyes on Casey's ship at this point as you're coasting up to the asteroid. You've been watching as Casey's old freighter has pulled up. This asteroid is ginormous, and you can see the surface, much like looking down on a small planetoid, the mining area that has been laid out. It looks like there's still a lot of remains of old tech that is still scattered across the surface of this asteroid, much of it left behind to just kind of rot and drift in space. The interior of this mining facility, you can see that it does have a structure, an old structure that is not registering any life support, but it looks like a sub-level down there. From what your sensors are telling you, there's at least 3 sub-levels. And sensors are detecting all 3 of them just fine. Sub-level 2 life support kicks in, but it's running on minimal power, which is already a red flag because this is an abandoned mine. So it's clearly that's where the drop-off is going to happen, is 1 level down. The other sub-level looks like it would lead into the mine, but the mine looks like it's been collapsed for quite a while. And there's really only 3 levels to this. And the levels are quite small. It doesn't look like this labyrinthine at all. It looks like most of the space inside this facility takes place on level 1. And no one's going in there without an EVA suit. You are detecting Casey's life signs on the asteroid surface as she is beamed down. She is alone. As you
drop like this, Taeyeon?
What's that?
Where was
I
that?
said to Taeyeon, ever do a drop like this?
I think once before. I'll be honest, it didn't end well. That's when I lost my arm.
Feeling all right? Feeling jittery?
Strangely enough, no. I think I made the mistake once. I won't be making it again. I end up running out of arms if I do.
One thing I've noticed about your weaponry, never quite disarmed.
See where Tavine gets the humor from.
How'd y'all get so close anyway?
They were assigned to my ship a few years ago. The
That
USS
explains why they're on the
Costa
ship, not why y'all got close.
They seemed stressed for a Vulcan. But it takes a Vulcan to notice this kind of thing, and I tried to see if I can help in any way, and it ended up. We ended up close. They helped me out. And I helped them out.
What was she stressed about?
There's a silence as Town catches themselves. I'm not sure if it's my place to say.
Drac, Caitlin, would you both permit me an insight check?
Yeah.
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 We want to do this on a difficulty 1 contested track?
I think that sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
Would I be
No
rolling for
momentum
this?
because that's dishonorable.
Mhm.
Boo hits are gonna need that.
Well,
This would be
exactly.
what?
That's why I'm not spending it down, eh?
Would this be like presents? Because I'm trying to like supposed to hide this.
You could probably argue for security if you wanted.
I think I might go security, present security.
Yeah, I mean, use your strong stat. I mean, I'm not, but
Presence-
if you want to, go for it.
No, this is like a poker face. That's command. That'd be presence
It's
command.
totally a
Oh,
command.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
command.
poker
Alright.
face.
That makes more
command.
sense. Okay, that is 2 successes.
Lovely. Also, too.
Oh,
Who's got the higher presence score?
mine is a 7.
Presence? I mean, I was on insight for this.
What's your insight score?
9.
Um, I'm inclined to say Tygo's a defender.
Want to give a
So that
mixed
would have been-
success?
If you,
I
yeah,
can-
if you want to do that,
Yeah, I can definitely give.
yeah.
I assume you're trying to like read Taeyeon in this moment. Maybe their voice or how they're holding themselves. As when you ask stressed about what, there's I think all you really catch is a look of annoyance is too strong of a word, but light frustration, and it's not targeted at Cadence. You only assume it's most likely targeted at Tavine, since they're the only other topic of conversation.
I'm gonna if you'll pardon me, as because it's just too delicious, and as storyteller I'm going to intervene on this.
Yeah.
And say that you have given too much information. I'm gonna
Oh.
cut that off and say you're detecting annoyance.
Okay, yeah. No,
It
I like
it
that.
wouldn't
Yeah.
be very easy on a tied score to detect where the annoyance was directed.
I think
You know what I
that's
mean?
fair.
So if you were compromising by letting them read your emotional state on a tied die roll, I would say you can find out what the emotional state is, but you're not sure where it's coming from or where it's going.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
You see a look of
Okay, I'll allow it.
annoyance
Yeah.
on their face.
Yeah. That's what I would
Wait,
probably
wasn't
just
that exactly what I had before the roll? Wasn't it annoyance
Yep.
and then I rolled on it? What did I have before and what do I have now? Like,
Oh, before I hadn't said anything. I just said there was silence.
There was a holding
and
back?
then I
Okay.
said that
That
it's not my place to
Taeyeon
say.
caught themselves. Like,
Yeah, I caught myself and said that it's not my place to say.
Okay. Fine then. Keep your secrets.
Like I said, it's not my place to say.
She is my sister.
I know.
How fast are your reflexes?
I'd like to think fairly fast is necessary to be a security officer, at least in my position.
Snack.
I'll
One of Cadence's, actually. They're tossing you a snack. One of theirs.
catch it in their cybernetic hand.
Okay.
Thank you.
I've done a couple of these drops. They're boring till they're not.
The few times I've done it, I've learned to savor the boring.
Yeah, but usually I have people with me who will tell me things that are interesting. Tell me something about
Oh, what are you looking for? Anything in particular? A genre effect you want from me?
you. If I knew, I'd ask. What's the thing I should think to ask, but I don't know enough to do so?
Back on Earth, my human mother was a big fan of rugby. Come to think of it, my Vulcan mother was too. I think she may have influenced her there. I played quite a bit of it growing up. The rush of sprinting down the pitch was honestly quite addicting. Rush of getting knocked down or knocking others down was fun. There are definitely times where I miss it, but I think the rush of life or death situations that the Federation puts us in is probably a bit more of a thrill than a good kickoff.
You play with Vulcans, humans, Klingons?
Vulcans, mostly. I had a bit of an unfair advantage if I tried to go up against humans.
Yeah, I remember that kind of thing.
Was
Arm wrestling was pointless.
I was going to ask. Yes.
Sensors begin to chirp. Cadence,
All right, more later, rugby.
Sensors are
Okay.
detecting, without having to roll, sensors are detecting 4 life signs that are now on the planet, on the asteroid, that are not registering as Casey. They have been picked up on sublevel 1, where she is headed.
Okay. Anything coming up on passive sensors in the system?
You're not detecting any starships, but if you would like to roll,
Yeah, I'm afraid I have to.
then this is going to be a reason science check assisted by the Peregrine sensors.
Oh, that's horrifying. Let's see. The magic number of disappointment is 7. Drac, would you care to do the honor since you're on the boat with me?
Yeah, I'll roll.
I'll take a point for it if we're good with that. Because there's no way to
Sure.
victory otherwise.
I mean, I rolled pretty well. I rolled a 1. I got a crit.
Oh,
Oh, nice. 1 second. I'm going to give you the difficulty here. Okay. Quite a bit. Oh, okay. The difficulty is 4.
Nope.
You're not
I
detecting.
got I got 1 success, so we got 3, but we did not get 4.
You're not detecting anything on sensors. There's no sensors not picking up any sign of another ship out there.
Where'd they come from?
I was just about to ask you that question. I don't see anything visually, nothing on the scans.
No, nothing here. Or if there is, it's too noisy to make out. Who knows? Maybe the sensor jock back on Pride is seeing something.
Hopefully someone is.
That sounds like a good point to use Ox Point.
Okay, 1 sec.
I
Let's
concur.
go
Captain.
with Raleigh.
Yep, you can activate a Raleigh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. That's what I thought. All right, one moment here. Navigation. Okay. So now I'm asking, I'm looking at the rules here. So now I'm asking a question about the granularity of this. Like how what's okay, give me I'm looking for range on the sensor scan real quick, because you can detect things from where you are, but okay. Yeah.
With the power of the Ox crew, all things are possible.
Yeah, mostly I'm looking at range, like the range bands, and what is considered short, medium, like what long range, what's extreme, like when it, because long range, if you're in system and you're on the other side of the system, I would call that long range. But if you're outside the system looking into a system, that seems like longer than long range. But this is talking in terms of like, oh, here we go. Long range is a distance of 2 zones. So yeah, okay. In which case, Raleigh is going to make a quick scan. All right. Oh, Sam, how many successes did you get? Did you get any from the last roll to scan?
It wasn't a successful roll, so
No?
we didn't generate momentum.
It was
successes.
difficulty 4, we got 3.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So thank you. That's why I was asking, because I was wrong about the difficulty. It is 3, not 4. In looking up the scan, it's actually a difficulty 3 check.
Is that the case on passives, though? Because we did not use an active scan, and I imagine that ups the difficulty.
Well, passives are, you don't roll. Passives are whatever the sensors are feeding you of what's coming in. If you're looking, I got that you were looking for who was out there.
They were just talking, and then the sensor went off, and then they acted in accordance to the sensor going off in the middle of their conversation.
Okay, so then let me ask specifically, using the sensor major actions as a blueprint for what you're trying to achieve, because you wanted to see who was out there. So if you're doing passive, you're not actually doing a sensor sweep or a reveal maneuver. Instead, you're just kind of sitting there to see what sensors are telling you. But if you're actively looking to see if somebody's out there, it's one of those two things.
It is. It adds 1 difficulty to the difficulty of any task assisted by the ship's sensor systems. We are currently on silent running.
Okay.
That's why it would have been 3 up to 4. Rules are on page 219.
Right, because you're using your stealth abilities,
exactly.
Right? Okay.
So it's harder for us. Like we're just taking
Gotcha.
in what we can take in. So no, we still failed, unfortunately.
Okay, cool.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But no, I'm still a failure at sensors.
All right, then let me roll for a Raleigh.
Just checking. Can we do major actions now?
I mean, within reason, because we're not in combat, but like I was using that as a guidepost for trying to determine whether Sam was actively searching for a ship, or if his passive sensors, again, is not looking for something. It's just waiting to see what your ship can spot with its, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not doing an active sensor sweep. You were just kind of reading whatever feed out was coming through. So I was using major and minor actions to give us a blueprint as to what the difficulties would be for a scan. But you can always, within reason, you can always do any of the major actions listed on that sheet, what your characters can do.
Gotcha.
Okay, so if Raleigh's going to roll, and if Raleigh rolls an 8 and a 9, so that's 2 successes. If I can get an assist from the USS Pride, whoever wants to roll for sensors and science.
I can take that. What number? What are we trying to?
It's 3 successes you guys need. Well, no, technically it's going to be more than that because you guys are out. You guys are at long range. You're 3 light years out. I think I'll compromise and say that it's at an increased difficulty, so you would need 2 more successes.
This is senses science, right? So it'd be
Yeah.
senses is 9, science is 2, so it'd be rolled under 11.
Yeah.
All right. Roll pride. Here we go.
Roll pride.
Roll pride.
Sorry, Raleigh. I rolled a 20.
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
Oh no!
I had to look at it for a second. I got excited, but then I realized these were D&D dice,
Yeah.
and the icon is on the 20 and not on the 1.
Okay. Okay, that complication. I'm gonna bank that.
I think now's a good time. I'm gonna take the major action direct. And this is just to give to V, like, we haven't had any piloting yet, so I'd like to make sure that we're on course with this comment.
After I just rolled a 20, you want me making more rolls? Sorry.
No, and I get to give you an assist as well, which means that you get to when you I have to spend one momentum, which I do believe we have.
We got 1 left.
Select one ally on the bridge who immediately attempts a single major action, and you assist them by rolling a 1d20 with your control and command. So I am going to help you here, and hopefully we can generate a little bit more momentum to help us out down the road.
Yeah.
Do we want to resolve? Is there anything to resolve on the Ivrali roll?
Avrali got 2 successes.
Yeah, so it wasn't.
So Avrali did
enough.
quite well. But 8 or 9 is above their maximum score, so
Yeah.
they didn't get to burn. They didn't get any crits, but yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure before we move on to another thing that there wasn't anything to resolve there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't find any source of reroll.
I could, but I'm holding on to this determination.
yeah, probably
That's
good
fair.
idea.
You've been burning them, so that's fair. You've got a whole crew full of determination now, so hopefully you won't have to burn anymore. All right.
All right, let's get this popping.
Do it.
Whew. Yee. All right, that is 2 successes on my end.
This is control con.
Oh no, I can only roll when you're assisting. You only roll 1.
Only roll 1. Yeah,
That's 1 assist from me. Sorry.
Okay.
and then control con. Correct. Just to
Yeah, I'm just having you doing your fly
Yeah.
piloted thing.
Right now, I can see the pride is basically from her nacelles is trailing this beautiful trail of silverish blue energy that's emitting from her cells as she is flying at near full impulse. This is causing a scattering effect that is very similar. If anybody was just to pass through the system, they would think it was a comet. Both from the mineral makeup, the energy reading, and possibly even from visual if they spotted you from far away and were just looking out the window. So right now, y'all are masked as a comet, and it's quite the sight. Go ahead and make your roll.
2 successes from me and 1 from my captain's assist.
Okay, so
3.
you were making this piloting check to... What was
To do my maneuver, to do my comet maneuver.
Yeah, this is just
maneuver.
making sure that we're staying on path and we're staying camouflage because we have to act like a act like a comet. This was just we might as well get some momentum out of it.
It's eerie as you guys are all set up and in place. Everything is hinging on what the hell is happening down on that asteroid right now. And right now, clearly something has begun to take place, but there's no signs that the gig is up, and there's no sign of anything changing. Back on the sensor station right now, Hata is in position and is awaiting to find out if the sensor relay station is being activated. What's up?
Wait, you're right. we have the censorship activated. So we have the sensor thing activated.
That's
right?
that's why I was a little confused. You should have an advanced sensor suite at your disposal, and I thought that's what maybe that's what I thought you were using.
Yeah,
Basically, you get to you can re-roll. Yeah, whenever a character performs a task assisted by the ship's sensors, the ship may re-roll 2d20 for assistance rather than 1 if reserve power is routed to sensors. The talent cannot be used if the ship is suffering one or more breaches, which you're not.
So you should have one more to take a stab at the success without obviating the complication, of course.
Wait.
You're stuck with that.
Clarification. The censorship is the one that Hata is on, correct? You're using the stealth ship.
Yeah, which means that when if Raleigh was looking at things, it would the sensor scout would be an additional source of data, which is what gives them the advanced sensor suite.
Okay.
The Pride is the one who has that, not the sensor scout.
This is a lot to juggle because the sensor scout is the furthest away from where the scan is directed. So I'm inclined to increase the difficulty to 5 because whereas the Pride is at extreme range, the sensor scout is almost on the other end of the system.
Pride is still the one making the check. It's not the sensor scout. It's just the sensor scout by virtue of being outside of the ship gives the benefit of an additional point of information.
Yeah, of course. The problem with that though is it's literally like pointing your telescope or pointing your eyeglass in the opposite direction of where you're scanning. So
I just mean that I don't think that the sensor scout would having it out would not increase the difficulty. Yeah, it wouldn't increase the difficulty because the sensor scout wasn't the one rolling for it. They're just an asset.
That sounds like we won't take advantage of that.
That we won't be using. That's fine. So. I'm just saying it wouldn't.
Which is roughly, we thought we wouldn't get to actually use any of the talents.
Yeah, that was my
equal one as the other.
That makes sense. Okay. All right. So a few minutes pass as you were all waiting with bated breath to find out what is going on down on the asteroid. And a message sent on the low registers at the con station. One of the Aux crew members informing you, Captain, that Hata is giving you a quick update that no unusual traffic is being detected through the sensor platform. In fact, the sensor platform, the subspace relay station is actually getting low traffic through here right now. And that they haven't detected any signals coming out of the system except for the ones that they're having with the Pride. At the moment, they're not detecting anything. Then a few moments later, on the passive sensors on the Peregrine, you see that the ranges between the life forms have come into contact. They're basically having the meeting now.
Okay.
What's unusual is you can read Casey Chang's life. You can see that there is a human down there. The 4 individuals that are meeting up with her are not registering anything. They're just registering as life forms, but you're not getting any solid feedback with passive sensors. You're not able to detect who or what they are.
Okay.
Real quick question.
What's up?
It was established earlier that we can kind of see what the Peregrines are seeing, right?
Yes, you could link up with the Peregrine.
Can I attempt to get a positive ID on any of the individuals by looking through the eyes of Cadence's Peregrine?
So Cadence's Peregrine, what they are seeing right now, Cadence, imagine if you were in a Southwest airplane and looking down at 30,000 feet at like Disneyland. Like that is the scale of to which eyeballs on the asteroid. That's what the Peregrine can see. Even at maximum zoom, really, you're just going to see the exterior of this building that's on the surface of the asteroid. And you're not seeing anybody else. The meeting is happening at sub-level 1 inside the building. So you wouldn't be able to spot anybody. But you would be able to see Cadence's sensor readout.
Can I attempt to run the data that we get from that to see if we can find anything in all of Federation's archives? Like, since we're here, we're running the data on our giant processor on the ship. which would be an active scan.
Avrali swivels in their chair and says, "I can do that, Captain, but I actually need the data. I would need to know more. I would need a directed scan at them, and then I could run it through. Right now, all Cadence is picking up. The commander's just picking up life signs, so we would need to actively scan them.
And that could be detected.
It's possible. We don't know who we're dealing with."
Can I attempt to? Because I get all the data through the chair. Can I attempt with just the raw data that I have? It might be a shot in the dark, but why not?
The only data available is just that life signs have been detected. There's not even.
You have a number basically. You have the number 4. I think is
There are
basically
4
all you're
life
dealing
signs.
with.
Is what?
But we were able to detect that one was human. Was the one that we got that was
That's
human?
Casey. That's Casey.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay. Yeah, you have her scans on file. So
If Casey plus 4 is like the whole of the data.
Gotcha. All right.
Can I ask a question about the topology of the system? It's this one asteroid. Is there any kind of debris?
There could be. It's certainly something that's available to you if you have momentum.
I say this, crew, because we could not scan actively for, but instead look at how the debris and its natural chronoton emissions might be disrupted as an indirect hint toward any anti-chronoton associated activity. Because if you think about a particle and an antiparticle, they meet, they annihilate. Like an electron and a positron meet, we can't see this thing.
So we pick up their aura by seeing how it affects something that's nearby them, but not them exactly. I like it.
The way that it affected our hull.
All right, I'd like to run that scan.
We need the momentum for the debris if we have it, which
we should have 3 momentum.
Depending on what the difficulty of the piloting check was.
Oh.
Which I don't know the answer to that.
At standard helm check, really there was...
Yeah, those are difficulties.
Really, it's a difficulty 0 check. All you were doing was maintaining course, and there wasn't really... it was a difficulty 0 check, really.
All right, so we had one before that. I assume that the difficulty...
No, you used the one to do your direct action.
True, that is true.
So we were down to 0, and then I rolled 3, so we're up to 3.
Gotcha.
We can spend 2 to make it through.
All right, we're gonna do it.
All right.
So you're basically scanning for traces of...
If these guys are bringing any of that anti-chronoton with them, we should be able to detect it by how it's affecting the nearby environment. We're not scanning them; we're scanning everything around them.
Okay.
Yep.
Does that sound about right?
Our hull, or that one rock if Raleigh went out to go see. We know how they interact with our objects, and there should be, in a debris field, you'll have like a field effect where the nearer something might be, the higher the probability of those particle interactions. The farther away, the lower the probability. So you can do, I mean, I'm guessing it would be vector calculus or something under the hood, but that's out my pay grade. I don't do those maths.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta add some. You just gotta add some modulating modifier phasing, and then we got the techno babble all the way locked in. Except it's real babble.
I mean, to the extent that variant antichronotons are, but you know, we're dressing her up in some nice clothes, are we?
Go ahead and roll your scan. I'll set the difficulty at 2.
Okie dokie.
Normally set it higher, but the truth is the Pride has come into contact with these particles so often now that you don't have to refine your sensor scans quite as much as you used to. And Avrali knows what to look for. So if you are, so you're the one doing the scan, is that correct, Cadence?
Yeah, I'm local, so I think it would have to be me for sensor resolution's sake.
Difficulty 2.
Druck.
Yep.
See, you didn't disappoint us last time. You did just fine. I'm a shitty sensor jock.
Please roll another
See if I got-
one. Please counteract my 20. Roll another one.
Okay, let's see if I still have that luck. Let's see. It's not a 1, unfortunately. It's a 6, which I think is still a success. But
It's a
Yeah,
success.
even for my little stealth ship, and with a 9 and a 7 from Cadence. Hey, guess what? We actually got on a sensors check on a Paragriffin that isn't the Sensor Scout Paragriffin. That's right, a successful sensors check with positive momentum as a result.
Hell yeah.
So you do
That's
have
what's
the
up.
option of obtaining information.
Mhm.
You detect a minute presence. It is not at short range. It's not where you would expect it, as you're kind of like maybe looking for this to be somewhere near the meetup point or around in the general area. You're detecting it roughly about 12,000 kilometers from where you're currently on station keeping, roughly on the other side of the asteroid.
Could be. What do you think, Town? Point.
I don't think there's anything or anyone else that could be letting off that kind of radiation. I think that might be the source and where they came from.
We get in too close and they can pick us up. How do we get a better visualization on Jin?
I'm not sure if we can be sure that Jin's even on whatever vessel that is. I think right now it might be safer to see what they get from the relay station once this call starts, and use that to judge what we do next and where Jin might be.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this. Hata's last check-in was there's still no signals coming through the relay station right now. And we'll say we're just a few minutes into the meeting, so it's still early.
I would like to read up on all of the capabilities of Peaches.
Okay. Easy enough to call that up on the data pad.
And more specifically, I want to know how difficult is it to pick up Peaches in a sensor sweep? And what does it come up as?
Peaches does not have any stealth capabilities of their own. So Peaches can be detected as easily as any vessel.
Okay.
If the vessel is if it has a competent sensor jock and they have decent sensors.
So my question is, what does it come up as in the sensor? Because if I'm remembering correctly, this is a prototype device that is this is a first of its kind. It has never been seen. So does it register as a vessel, or what does it register as?
It's likely. There's no way of knowing exactly, depending on who. It would really depend on who's scanning you and what kind of database they have. But it's likely it would register as a probe of some kind.
Okay.
Since it basically is the same size as a photon torpedo, it would be moving under its own propulsion, and it would have sensor capability of its own. It would probably register as some kind of probe.
Now, one last question. I promise I'm not trying to be roundabout here.
No.
The way Cadence's stealth fighter works is that it's essentially it turns itself off, so there are no readings on it, and then it turns itself back on. Correct?
It basically functions like a submarine going silent. So it is running at low power mode. It's very difficult. It's kind of how Section 31 ships worked back in the day of Discovery, where they would just basically shut off all the lights so you couldn't eyeball them in space. Very difficult to see something that goes completely dark and it's all stealth black. And then going into low power mode, making it very difficult to scan.
Okay. So, gang, here's my thing. This is just worst case scenario because we're trying to figure out how to get close enough to listen. From everything that I've seen in Peaches, it is sophisticated enough to act on advanced commands like go dark until you're 20 feet from ground, lift, and then land safely. That means that this thing is going to look like a dud hitting the ground, and we are in a we do know that there is debris about. What's the chance of this thing looking like debris while it falls down to the ground and landing safely?
Are you asking me?
I would like to try and make a roll on this to figure it out.
I tell you what, I would say make me a command security check. Or
Gotcha.
whether, yeah, I would say make this would definitely be a security check of some kind. So command obviously being one of the fellow departments, I would say make me an insight security check.
Gotcha. That's 15. Yeah.
Difficulty of this would be 2, just like a standard difficulty. Any skills you have in intelligence or strategy or tactics, I would allow.
Okay.
Because you're basically kind of rolling the dice here to find out if you can stealth yourself in a little sensor probe that no one else spots. And would they be able to pull it off?
That is a 2 and a 3 for a total of 4 successes.
Okay.
I put it in chat. But yeah.
Cadence could activate main thrusters and detach Peaches and kind of just point Peaches at where they need to go and kind of just throw them. Because if Peaches isn't using any forward momentum or propulsion systems, it'll be kind of like a miniature stealth mode that Cadence has got. Now, it's not foolproof, but it will be hard to detect Peaches to do that. The moment Peaches starts actively scanning, there's a possibility Peaches is going to get spotted.
Yeah, I get to maintain thrusters. It's only if I go to impulse that silent running drops off.
That makes sense. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
My primary concern would be the scan getting detected, because I think Peaches could go quiet, like completely quiet. Like I feel like it'd be easy to
silent
not
running
get
applies
Peaches
Peaches.
detected.
Yeah,
totally easy.
So,
but like when Peaches comes back online and scanning, that's when I'd get nervous.
Okay, let me give you this. With 4 successes, you could conceivably, using thrusters and get enough momentum, if you launched Peaches now, it's conceivable that Peaches wouldn't have to scan at all. You could, since you have a general idea of where the power signature is coming from, Peaches could try to eyeball whatever it is on the other side of the asteroid and send that information back to Cadence. That's not a scan. That's literally just looking out the window. And there's no active sensor ping. There is a very, very low chance that Peaches gets spotted. Because that's basically a needle in a haystack situation. But it also means Peaches is kind of over there until they can find a way back or get picked up.
So I'm going to send the plan to Cadence with basically this is an option and it's on your mark if it's done. Pride out.
Okay. Okay. So I only get to give initial velocity to Peaches as an artifact of mine own thrusters.
Mm-hmm. Peaches has thrusters too.
Yes, but I'm presuming the closer they get. Like, Peaches benefits from silent running. Like, there's nothing that makes Peaches not silent running.
Right.
So is it, as you said previously, that who is giving velocity to Peaches? Because I heard that it can only be me.
No. Basically, Peaches would not be able to activate any of their rapid propulsion systems to make it over there. But if Peaches departs now, there is a chance. What I was saying is basically you using your forward momentum to kind of give Peaches that boost so that their thrusters can carry them across the vector that they need to reach the other side and eyeball anything.
Okay, then this will still work.
Yeah. So I would just say, for funsies, make a piloting check at a difficulty of 3.
Right. What I'm going to do
Mm-hmm.
is, you've called on my forward momentum,
Mm-hmm.
but you ever watch a field event?
Yes.
Angular momentum's where it's at.
You're
If
gonna
you are an
slingshot?
extremely gifted small craft pilot, you can donate more velocity
Doing
with
the
a
Tokyo
good
drift.
spin around and yeet.
Yeah.
So I'm taking that one because I
Okay.
am Commander Cadence, the greatest pilot in
Tell you what.
Starfleet.
I'll increase it. I would say, difficulty 3.
Yeah.
For this little maneuver, but if you were able to pull this off, I'll let Peaches reach the target in half the time.
I'm going to call upon my determination. I'm the greatest pilot in Starfleet.
Yes.
Aeon, you watch the starfield in front of you begin to spin and whirl as Cadence starts kicking in, kicking in some piloting maneuvers.
We got so much momentum. You should take one.
Yeah, I'll take one because that'll get me cool con.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheers, just at the captain's seat. Like, are we detecting movement from Commander Cadence?
Of course not. They're stealth running, Captain.
You think they're gonna go with the plan?
Of course, Captain. It's Cadence.
How many successes did you get?
6.
6 successes.
I need to ask,
Let's
does your craft help you here? Do I roll for your craft here, or is this all Cadence?
You do if you'd like. Sure, let's go for it. That'll be, let's see, on engines con another 8 if you'd like.
Okay. I rolled a 1 again.
Let's
Two
freaking
successes.
go!
Oh, sorry, it wasn't 6 then. It was 8 successes.
Oh my god!
That is the most
And that's
Our new,
for
that
this
is. I think that's the
campaign.
new.
That is the most successes for this campaign by far, and it might actually tie for all time.
I believe it does, yes.
Yeah,
I don't think we've ever rolled a 9
today,
successes.
I think that ties for all time.
Hey,
When I
we're real
said
quick.
I was the-
Real quick, does just to like maybe top that? Does Peaches help? Does Peaches assist in
Peaches
this?
is that which is Yote.
No, I think in this, Peaches is basically doing some minor course corrections on the way. Peaches just need to be thrown, but
Okay.
yeah.
Eagle Side is saying that 10 was, they thought 10 was the record, and I can make it 10, but it would cost me my determination.
No,
and
hang
I'm-
on to that,
and
hang
I'm-
on to that.
and I'm not
We
that
don't
petty.
need to
It's been a
run
hot
up the
minute.
score. We've already established I'm the greatest pilot in Starfleet.
Yes.
It's fine.
You
We did what
have-
we
we have
needed
2
to do
floating.
here.
We have 2 floating, by the way. So if those are something we want to use,
Oh, we should put that
that's-
into a trait.
Yes, that's what I'm
You
thinking.
could use those technically because if you want, because Peaches, the next thing Peaches has to do is spot whatever this is.
Mhm.
So if you
Yep,
want,
trait
Optimal
perfect trajectory.
positioning. Yep, I would say yep.
okay. So
That feels good.
we're about to go on break, so here we go. The inertial dampeners inside the Peregrine are kind of put to the test. And Cadence, it's been a hot minute since you've really pushed them to their paces like this. You kind of miss that feeling that most people not familiar with Peregrines, there's this zone of nausea that kicks in when the inertial dampeners are fighting against the G-force inside of the ship. And there's this sort of in-between zone where if you're too sensitive to movements or looking outside into the star field, a non-experienced pilot will lose their lunch. In this case, though, it's so familiar to you. You feel that slight compression on your chest. It's been a while since you've pulled these high maneuvers. I leave it to you, to Aeon, how this is going for you, but the star field outside is spinning like a hurricane of diamonds. And it is very difficult to stare at or pick a spot as basically the stealth fighter gets thrown into a Tokyo drift over, just spinning around donuts in the sky before this prototype AI probe is launched out from underneath the belly of the Peregrine. And it is a beautiful throw.
To Taeyeon just leans further deeper into their seat and just goes, I knew this was going to happen at some point.
You hear Peaches, excellent throw, Commander.
Thank you, Peaches.
Peaches maneuvers and begins to do basically a sliding visual scan of the asteroid. You're watching the porous rock fly underneath Peaches. And then you're also registering Peaches activating adjustment thrusters on the back end in order to slow an angle. A few moments later, you hear Peaches say, high orbit established. I have entered into the asteroid's gravitational aura. Stand by. The mountainous range passes underneath. And you see traces of grooves that probably date back millions, billions of years to whatever this asteroid used to be a part of. Might have been a planet at one point, or at least the surface of one. And as you begin to crest over some of the mountaintops, you start to see the other side of this asteroid. It is a giant reddish black rock that is just hovering in space. And with that trajectory, Peaches begins to do a wide visual glance at the landscape from a bird's eye view. At first, it's just emptiness. Total emptiness. No sign of anything over here. But Peaches, because of your trait that you just activated by burning a momentum after an absolutely outrageously high success roll, Peaches sees something that the organic eye doesn't spot quite so easily. It picks up what to a human or anybody else of a biological life form would essentially be like spotting a pixel that is not the same color as the rest of the screen. And you hear Peaches say, I think I have something, Commander. And it zooms in, zooms in, zooms in. Now, both of you can decide how it is you experience this moment. But I will tell you, Cadence, that your blood feels like it drops a few degrees as you spot the lavender purplish hull coloring of a Jem'Hadar attack ship that is attached to the under half of this asteroid in low power. You see it as docked, essentially hugging the surface of this asteroid. The attack ships are nicknamed the Beetles. These are the little insectoid-looking attack ships that the Federation came to fear during the Dominion War and were often what you flew against when you were giving support to any of the capital ships. It is powered on low, and Peaches confirms that it is in fact exactly what you say it is. The two of you watch as the data begins to pop up on screen. And you hear Peaches, who, by the way, now has a personality thanks to the updates. You hear Peaches say, Commander, I think there might be a complication. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to jump right back into where we left off with Cadence spotting on the other side of this asteroid a Jem'Hadar attack ship that is currently stealthing the way Cadence is stealthing, is on lower power. And you have to imagine, Cadence, without doing too much real tactical thinking here, that it must mean that this ship has probably been here for a while, and that's why it was not detected entering system. It has been currently, looks like it's just resting on the surface of this asteroid.
I have a question about our initial observation.
Okay.
There were not signatures accompanying Casey, and then there were.
Mm-hmm.
Does the pattern of appearance match or not match transportation as such?
It's very, very likely that they beamed from that ship to the location.
Okay. And other question, what odds did I historically like versus these ships? Number of peregrines.
Well, actually, let me have you roll real quick. Let me have you roll if what you want to learn, because there's evidence to support either way. there's evidence to support where it's not quite so obvious if they beamed there or not, because I'm realizing Cadence might actually do the math on this and figure something else out. But
there's one possibility based on this that I'm hoping for, and it may or may not be, so I'm not gonna put it out in the world, but it'd be very cool if it were.
Go ahead, and if you want to make a check, whatever skills you decide to use, I'll give you information flavored towards the department and systems that you're using.
All right. I think in all honesty, it's reason security, isn't it? Like
Okay.
I can't see this being
So
anything else.
I'll set it at a difficulty of 1, and then if you want to use obtain information spends to learn more.
I wouldn't mind grabbing one.
You can
I think
take
we're
3
full
if
up.
you want and get 2 dice if you want. We are full up. We are
we're
maxed
full up
out.
on it.
I mean, I won't be too greedy, I think, but
We got whatever you need.
I wonder how that had happened. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Flight control system, small craft tactical, astronavigation, EVA, small craft engineering, leadership. Any of those feel like a thing.
It really depends on what you're asking. The check.
Well, when you had me make a roll right now,
You decided to roll security
reason.
and reason. So
Yeah.
you're using this to determine specifically, like tactically, how they got to where they are.
Yeah.
So,
they are roughly speaking like a small craft, yes?
are you asking if a Jem'Hadar attack ship is a small craft?
That which they beamed from, yes.
No, they are scale 3. So they're just one size smaller than Voyager. So they're roughly the size of Casey's freighter.
Casey's freighter's a scale 2 in it.
No, it's scale 3. Scale 2 would be yeah.
Larger ships. Okay. So then 12. That's unfortunate. And it was difficulty 1, you said? I mean, we're gonna have overflow momentum. It's
Yeah,
fine.
difficulty 1, yeah.
So reason security. Yeah. So then 3 rather than 5.
Okay. So then here's the first thing I'll tell you is how it's so your mind immediately thinks they must have beamed there from the ship, but that doesn't comport with what you know about how transporters work, because if they were on the other side of the planet, they couldn't simply beam across the planet. That would literally be transporting through line of sight through a few kilometers of solid rock. And it's possible for sure, but it seems unlikely. So something else, it's possible that maybe they were waiting on sublevel 2. However they got there, or maybe they've been waiting, it's unclear, but it seems to you, your read on the situation is they are being very cagey and probably covering all of their tracks, which comports to everything you know about Jem'Hadar. They are not stupid. They are very tactical, very strategic in all of their engagements, which leads me to the second thing. If you want to spend a momentum about what you remember to get some information about the Jem'Hadar attack ship, for obtain information.
Yeah, we have
two
floating
floating.
momentum right now.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 floating.
So,
Yeah.
The Jem'Hadar attack ship is one of the most notorious vessels the Federation has ever encountered. They're known for having incredibly sensitive and detailed sensor systems, so much so that they are able to detect cloaked vessels with almost ease. They use an anti-proton sweep that allows them to pick up just about anything in a long sensor range. One of the most famous stories is how they encountered the Defiant while she was cloaked and blew her out of the sky. The other thing is the very first encounter, and this would be well known throughout the Federation, the very first encounter the Federation ever had with the Dominion was this attack ship. And they successfully destroyed a Galaxy-class starship. Particularly when one decided that the Galaxy class didn't deserve to get away, and to show how dedicated the Dominion was to killing their enemies, they literally rammed their ship into the deflector dish of the Galaxy class, killing everyone. You've flown against them. And while they don't have the maneuverability of a peregrine fighter, it was discovered that peregrines were uniquely capable of harassing these ships because these ships are uniquely capable of harassing every other ship that flew against them. Think of it like this. These are wasps. Peregrines are a swarm of bees. It's kind of how that works. They're incredibly dangerous, but if you got enough bees, the wasp gets overpowered. Jem'Hadar attack ships have multiple weapon systems. They are equipped with photon torpedoes, disruptor cannons, and their most dangerous weapon is their phased polaron beam banks. And having flown against them, their beam banks are marginally weaker than their cannons, but what's lethal about them is they have piercing and intense, which means that when they hit something, they ignore their resistance ratings. If this thing attacked the Pride, the only thing that's protecting the Pride are the shields. And once those are gone, it just starts melting the hull. They're very dangerous. They're fast and they're maneuverable.
Okay. Down there are a couple possibilities.
I see, right?
Oh, I should tell you
Already.
one last thing. Sorry, this is very pertinent. You would know, because by the end of the Dominion War, this would be knowledge that the Federation intelligence systems have, but they are usually only crewed by about up to 15 Jem'Hadar. Very small crew on these things.
They've already spotted us and everything's gone horribly, horribly wrong. They, for some reason, have no one at their sensor station doing any anti-proton sweeps. They are already aware of us and biding their time. Ready to strike. That's about the total possibilities there. You'll notice 2 out of 3 of them are in fact very bad.
Yeah.
Our tactical advantage is that we are in the air and they are not. However, if they hit us, we will be, and this is true, vaporized. Don't consider us as being able to take a hit from them. I assure you we are not.
I've read up enough to know that we definitely are not in a position to take a single hit from one of those.
Which means by being here, Jin could already be toast.
Yeah. I think all we can do is hope that that is not the case. Be ready for any hostile action they might take if we have been noticed.
If we think they're going to take hostile action, we'd have to move now. The captain back-channeled to me earlier. Do I also have secure back-channel? Oh, well, I mean, to a certain extent, it barely matters. If these are such super sensors that it's pointless to exist as a stealth ship, right?
Could we ask, with all of the knowledge that Cadence has, do they know if that particular scan has to be like active and on purpose, or is that their passive scan strength?
It's a sweep, so.
You're muted.
You're
Eric.
muted. You're muted.
Sorry, I don't know why it keeps doing that. If they are actively searching, then their chances of spotting you are pretty high. The Jem'Hadar are known for having incredibly powerful sensors.
That if they don't know to look, is there a chance they haven't spotted them yet?
There's always a chance, but the truth of the matter is you just don't know.
Yes, yeah.
Cadence, I would say you would have an idea that they too are in stealth mode. So it's very likely, at least for the moment, it's very likely that you haven't been detected yet.
Why?
Well, is there a chance would scanning break their stealth?
If you did an active sensor sweep, it's very likely somebody would detect you were doing a sensor sweep, or that somebody was.
So they maybe haven't been scanning because they don't want to break their stealth. So they might not see you.
I'll go ahead and give you some further context real quick, Sam. because Cadence would know this too. The Treaty of Bajor forbids any Dominion-aligned vessels of any kind without full express permission of all three major governments of the Alpha and Beta quadrants allowed through the wormhole. If any Jem'Hadar ships were spotted on this side of the wormhole, it would be in violation of the treaty, which the Dominion is very interested in upkeeping because the Federation has essentially the leader of the Founders in a Federation prison. So the Dominion is very keen on keeping that Treaty of Bajor intact. The presence of this ship is a breach of the treaty. So if you're asking why are they being stealthy, it's probably because what's at risk if they get detected. But it also, Cadence, again, because of your experience in the Dominion War, I'm going to give you this one for free. It's up in the air how they would react if they got detected. If they knew they had been detected, they might try to destroy absolutely everyone who spotted them, which is, in your experience, the Jem'Hadar way.
Yeah, no witnesses.
Yeah, they would probably vaporize everybody that they could.
That said, Pride has my readings, yeah?
Yes, you can send that back to the Pride.
Okay, good. So the good thing, Town, is even if we get blown up, they'll already know the Treaty of Bajor was in breach. So, our lives will have meaning.
You see it on the view screen, Captain.
Immediate call to the Admiral.
You see what now, if you start using the subspace relay right now, it's entirely possible that they could pick up your transmission. But it's not a guarantee, but it is possible.
Not till we're safe. It'll put it. I think.
Not till we're safe. But Mike, I suppose the question would be, if we had Hata do it, is their vessel so sensitive that outside that range? Because the whole trouble that we've been having with Hata's vessel is they're too far to really be useful. Mm-hmm. And now that range could be at our advantage, because if they can't help us with this situation, they shouldn't be able to pick up our vessel. Correct?
Also add a sensor array. Could they just send it straight from the array? Would that assist at all in keeping it out of anyone's?
That would certainly go miles towards keeping it. If it's just a transmission coming from the subspace sensor array, there's almost no way they would know. It would just sound like normal traffic.
And however, we've already activated Hata.
Mm-hmm.
Do me a quick favor, real quick, Captain, because again, you literally you were in intelligence and strategy during the Dominion War. So if you could please roll me a insight security. I'll allow a command check on this as well.
Okie dokie.
If you want to do command instead of security.
Yep, it improves it by 2, which I'll take. No, by 1.
Yeah.
Yeet. No, that's the wrong one. Sorry.
Difficulty on this, I'm going to set it as 2.
Yeet. Okay, 13 and a 2. The Starfleet protocols come into play? Team dynamics, multitasking, martial arts, inspiration, or composure?
Actually, Starfleet protocols might come into play because it deals with the Treaty of Bajor.
Then that brings us to 3.
Okay. It is absolutely impossible for a ship to sneak through the wormhole. You just can't do it. It's a rather large open and closing door in the middle of space. Even if you were cloaked, you would be detected coming through the wormhole.
Yeah.
Your instincts are telling you that this ship probably didn't sneak through the wormhole, or it would have been known about it. It's probably a holdout, or maybe a ship that never returned to Dominion space.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In other words, when the Dominion fleet pulled back through the wormhole, either this one got left behind or stayed behind, but it's unlikely the Federation wouldn't have known it was coming through the wormhole. It's probably not a recent addition, in other words. That's what your
Yeah.
instincts are telling you as somebody who worked in strategy at Starfleet Command.
Yeah. I think the broadcast is less about they broke the treaty and more like we've got Jim Hadar here. I'm in a relic.
Totally.
Help.
Yeah.
Bring it.
I'll give you additional piece of information real quick. And this is not like just giving you info. This is stuff that you definitely know. And the reason why I'm bringing up specifically that this is to give you further context is to give you a bird's eye view of where the hell they came from. It's not necessarily relevant to the transmission right now, but since you know about the Treaty of Bajor, but also to follow up on what you just said, tactically, yes, the USS Pride would be in serious danger if it fought this ship.
Yeah.
Also, you have one floating from your roll. You went one above the. So if you want to ask another question based on that roll specifically, you have. One
I would
floating.
like to use that floating momentum to cut the amount of time it takes for the message to get received.
Okay.
Maybe be two
so there's a distinct momentum spin that cuts the amount of time that things take. So that's not creating a trend. That's something different. That's like that would be like Hata. I don't care what you got to do. You make sure that they get this in the this is the captain going. Oh, it's gonna take 4 hours. Get it done in 30 minutes. Like that's what this is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll say this is relayed back to Hata, and you spend that momentum, and she is going to, on a secured Priority 1 channel, transmit this back to Starfleet HQ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm fully calling on his rep here for like. Uh-oh.
It's our mission. Our mission is this is.
It's a price. Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm still saving that. I'm still saving that determination.
Especially now, right?
Yeah, this is like, oh boy.
Okay, so Hata is going to be doing that then for this scene, is basically making sure that this. Now, I will go ahead and tell you that because she is on board the subspace sensor platform, there's really no logical way that anybody would know what she was transmitting, because it's going to sound just like another Priority 1 message flying through the relay. Yeah. So unless they had somebody out here listening, which doesn't appear to be the case, but she's going to begin her work of getting that transmitted back to Starfleet Command. So whatever happens here, Starfleet Command is going to know that there was a Jim Hadar attack ship on scene, and that it is somehow connected to all of this. But that takes us back to the more immediate problem. As time continues to tick by, and in the back of your mind, to Aeon, you are remembering that you told her to delay as long as possible. The meeting time is now starting to stretch into the 8th minute.
We're still not going anything on the relay or anything coming back that can indicate where Jean is being held.
Could be held on the ship. If they're caught behind enemy lines, they might just be roving without any kind of base to go back to.
And if that's the case, they probably won't need a relay station to get that message across to Casey.
And we do not have enough people to storm that ship. Well, Flux.
I told Casey that at the moment it seems like she's getting on their nerves to stop prolonging the conversation. So hopefully Casey is dead.
You detect a transport from Casey's ship down to the surface.
The cargo.
Seems like it.
While we're up here, can I give the order to the crew to start looking for any equalizers in terms of environment for our birds to level the playing field again? Like what Jaren did during the Dominion War was he sat back and drew up battle plans. And I'd like for him to be doing that now with the amount of birds we got and a surveying of the environment. How can I put my people in a position to win?
Yeah, Jaren, I'll tell you right now, tactically, this place is barren. It's a rock in space. There's really nothing out here. Everything is incredibly exposed. If it wasn't Cadence doing the flying right now, whoever was out there would have been spotted by these guys. It's a very vulnerable position to be in, and it is typical of the Jem'Hadar at thinking ahead like this.
Is it thinking ahead, or is it just having strictly superior equipment? There's not a dang thing you can. There's nothing you can do about that. You don't get points for that. You don't get points for fun toys. Sorry, Iron Man.
I think I would just like for him to be looking through the archive for any battle situations in the Dominion War that fit what we're in now. Win, lose, or draw, he needs to see either how they succeeded or how they failed to get an idea of their flight patterns in an environment like this so he can feed that to his fighters.
Hey, say hi to past me while you're there.
I would say that is going to be an extended task, coming through all of the battle scenarios that took place during the Dominion War.
Okay.
And I would say you're looking at probably about an hour of research on an extended task to find something that really might comport to what's happening right now.
Focus on you and Pride. Cadence got this. Or they don't.
Yeah, we're doing the
There's nothing in
extended
those records that are going to tell them more about flying against these guys than they already know.
Those records are Cadence' entire repertoire. So like,
yeah, it's
like
all the way down.
It literally, like, it is like, it's at this point, like, and we can't get there in time. So if there's something,
and
that
I already
we
know
can
what I'm
do
going to
here.
do.
Okay,
If it all pops
Never
out.
mind me.
You could also do it for story wise.
for
If
the
you
pride,
as a captain,
though.
if you
Well,
as the captain decided this is what Jaren would do, like that's also an option. We don't want to dissuade you, but just if there's something, if you had other ideas, you can also.
Like I said, say hi to past me. Maybe you'll remind me of something great I did that
Okay,
one.
I'm spending both the banked threat and one additional threat for 2.
Okay.
It starts to happen all at once. At the same moment, Peaches spots the lights coming on that attack ship. And the passive sensors detect the active warp core coming back up online as the ship is gaining power. You detecting the presence of the Jem'Hadar attack ship now as it's coming back online. And that same moment comes that panic switch from Casey. And with passive sensors, you're detecting energy discharges on the planet's surface. Cutting away while you guys have been up here, Casey has been down there doing the deal and started to stall. And during that conversation, it became clear through the expenditure of threat, the Jem'Hadar realized she was stalling. Casey, not being a pushover, realized the Jem'Hadar realized she was stalling. A few moments of backtracking, fast talking, trying to disarm the situation led to weapons being drawn. And Casey is currently ducking under cover and exchanging fire. That's what's being picked up on sensors right now. You're detecting disruptor blasts and energy discharges.
Ken, how fast you can get us down there?
I'm about to do some thrilling heroics.
Do it. What are you doing?
The words I heard was, how fast can you get us down here?
Okay. The stars spin again as Cadence suddenly angles the nose of the Peregrine directly towards the asteroid.
Yep.
All right. I'm guessing the stealth fighter goes up online. Power systems come up as the impulse engines activate. And to give you an answer to that question, depending on how fast you want to go, maybe a few seconds. Impulse speed is rather fast. So however you want to do it.
What range are we starting at?
So I kind of vaguely put us at about 30,000 kilometers, which was
Sorry,
like,
what mechanical range? Yeah.
Long range is what I had you guys at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My assumption was you were doing that on purpose so that you could make sure that you had like the bird's eye view and
Okay.
whatnot.
I heard we were described at close at some point.
If you want to say that, I'm fine with that.
Sorry, short, not close. It was not close. It was short. Because remember, I said if we got closer, we would have been spotted.
I'm fine with that.
That's the limitation.
Yeah. Strategically, tactically, you would have had time to have adjusted your ranges as needed. So if you want to say you were, it's not a problem if you want to say you're closer than that. If you want to say you're at close range, then that's totally fine.
I only say because, like, I think you get one zone on thrusters for free.
Well,
I might not need to bring it up.
We're not. Let me put it this way: we're technically not everybody roll initiative phase right now.
Yeah.
Because you haven't actually entered combat, so at the moment you don't have to worry too much about the zone technicals. You can just tell me what you're doing to get into combat.
The only reason was to see whether or not I could maintain silent running, a thing I can do if I'm moving just a little bit with thrusters, and a thing I can't do if I actually have to kick it into impulse. It's actually possible that if I, for instance, use the gravity, like based on the fact that Peaches could get there on thrusters.
So Peaches could get there on thrusters, but it's going to take a while. I mean, I kind of skipped through the time lapse of you hurling Peaches across the surface of an asteroid.
If you'd like me to pop off, we'll pop off.
No, you don't have to. You could do this on thrusters if you wanted to, because I've already established that you can choose the range you want to start at. So if you want to say you're at short range and you want to thruster it down there, you can. I'm going to make it a piloting check.
I will happily do it as a piloting check. If it's time, I'll go hot. If it's skill, I'll refer you to my.
No, I'm saying you can do it, and I'm basing this on the fact that you can use the asteroid's gravitational pull, and you can use your skill as a pilot and your thrusters. Just do it.
Love all those things. All right, cool. What's the difficulty?
Difficulty is 2.
All right. I'm gonna take a point.
Please do.
Oh, you know what though? You don't have to do that at all, because what we could do is treat this like it's difficult terrain, because it is an asteroid and you are flying into the gravitational pull of this. If you want to spend a momentum, you can just have it. Because that's literally the cost of moving through difficult terrain with starships. And in this case, if you just want to close the range band so you could close that distance, you can burn a momentum and take it.
That's fine. That's favorable.
Yeah. All right. In which case, it's a quick thruster and using the momentum of the gravitational pull of the asteroid. Also worth noting, the closer you're getting to that asteroid, the harder you're going to be to spot by the Jem'Hadar. Floating up here, you're going to be spotted pretty easily with their sensors. But getting closer to the asteroid like you are now, it's just going to make it harder for them again. So you're actually kind of keeping up your stealth momentum by going in lower.
Hey, on you shooting with ship systems or on phaser?
Well, it seems like it's getting a bit too up close and personal for a ship phasers to work. I might need to actually physically get down
Get EVA suit on and get in the back.
We'll do.
We're going to do a barn drop.
I'll jump up, get into an EV suit, and get ready.
Okay, you rapidly try to get into the EV suit while you're watching on sensors as the energy blasts are happening down below. Right now, passive sensors are detecting that Jem'Hadar ship is about to finish its power-up cycle and is going to be initiating its engines shortly. Halfway across the system, you're getting that delayed sensor readback, but the Pride is detecting everything that is happening with Cadence right now. You're getting a feedback and a loop of what's taking place. So Cadence has decided to engage, and sensors are showing that there is a firefight happening.
You ready to go be the cavalry?
Captain, we're still about an hour and a half out. I think we need to weigh the consequences of us being spotted if Cadence has not yet been.
That's one paragram against the Jem'Hadar attack vessel.
That peregrine will be obliterated whether or not we leave now or in 5 minutes. It's an hour and a half, Captain. I think we should give them more time.
I'm going to go ahead and just say that at this moment, the bridge crew starts giving looks. I'm just going to throw this into the scene because
directly contradicting my captain. Yes.
You were being kind of insubordinate and
Yes, I am.
actively challenging the captain. So there's a couple of like even Avrali kind of. If Hata was here, she'd be all over your ass right now. But you see Avrali just kind of glance and keep her head. They keep their head directly pointed at their science station.
I will do it if you order me to, Captain. But I would like you to consider that first.
That's an order.
Jaw clenched, I turn around.
Okay, you swivel back into the chair and set course. Maximum warp.
I'm correct. It's going to take us an hour and a half to get there. Correct?
About an hour and a half, close to, yeah. At max, you guys are way, way out there. With that, you angle and plot the course. You shut down any stealth you had that you guys were a comet and turn hard into the course setting and jump to warp. Moments later. You've been here before, Captain. You know what it's like sitting in a chair when a battle is happening thousands and thousands and thousands of space miles away from you. And light years away right now, crew members and people you know are getting into a fight with an old enemy. Not that old. It's only like 7 years ago. But yeah, the most lethal enemy the Federation's faced. And you have to wait.
I want pilots in seats of the birds.
With that, Griffin Wing is alerted to scramble, which is an action that Griffin Wing gets to do. Griffin Wing actually has, what is it? Griffin Wing minor action, scramble fighters. Spend 2 momentum to launch alert griffins. For the rest of the scene, the vessel may coordinate griffins, allowing them the ship benefit of 1 signature support. A vessel can use this action to the benefit of 1 signature support ability. Per scene, griffins launched with this action may take actions or be targeted by enemy attacks unless piloted by a main or supporting character. So, yeah, griffins are basically heating up.
Message to Hata. Things got hot. I'm pulling Cadence and KC out. Get that message and get us help.
You receive a confirmation. Hi, Captain. And you go into waiting mode. Back on the asteroid. Cadence, you're racing towards the surface. You get close, and I'm pulling up at the last moment. You basically can do a landing maneuver if you want. However close, however you want, wherever you want to put the peregrine and whatever you want to do next. But you've closed the distance as planned.
All right, excellent. Town, if we drop you to the attack craft, there's probably going to be more of them, but there's a shot that there's extracting Jin. Or you go to the mine, you try to extract Casey. Jin is our stated mission priority.
I'll go for Jen.
All right. Then I'll try to pull Casey on transport.
Sounds good.
I'm not landing this girl. I ordered Tan for a barn drop. I'm going to be whipping around, opening the back door, and just letting them. We are not landing.
So by barn drop, you're beaming out. Are you in an EV suit?
Yes.
He is.
No, I'm asking Cadence because if you open up the back door, you're opening up the interior of the peregrine to vacuum. So
we got airlocks.
I'm not sure you do, but I'm okay saying if you want to say you have an airlock. A peregrine really doesn't have that much functionality. It's get in, get out. There's not really a secondary. But if you want to,
if we need me to be hypoxic for a minute, that's perfectly fine. I'm sure I'll pilot fine without oxygen to my brain.
Okay.
In all seriousness, it's scale 1 craft. That means it's a small volume of air to lose, meaning that the environmental systems can bring it back up real quick. The important thing here is speed, and I'm not going to put on my extravehicular gym jams.
I'm just going to say this right out of the gate. Of all the things you've done in Star Trek Adventure, Sam, this might be the most metal thing.
I think that medical babble should get a momentum.
of all
It's not even babble, it's just like real
It's
things.
like, listen, I was found nonsense. That's actual science.
I'm just saying, like, of all the metal mother effing things you could do, just to do it. Okay, so hold on.
I don't know. Taeon's the one about to make the drop. I'm just doing this out of pure faith in his competence of like, if I drop you out of the back of my ship, you've got that. Into just like an attack craft of Jem'Hadar. It's fine. I think the metal one here is Taeon.
I mean,
Come on, Chad. What do y'all think? I think that. Come on, that's medical. That's medical babble.
Start the poll. All right, well, give me 1 second. I'm gonna do this for realsies.
All right.
1 sec.
Can I calculate?
Here's what I am gonna do though. However this goes, I am going to go ahead and give you a momentum for this.
Oh, thank you.
Hell yeah!
I do want to encourage
I
this
told
kind of screw it, I'm doing it anyway. Like I don't care. Like so give me 1 second though, because let's see. Yep. Give me. There it is. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Okay.
God, the only one more unhinged than Sam is Chad to
Yeah,
talk
so
about
saying-
dropping hand grenades.
That's a nickname for him.
Near the injuries. Yep. 250. Okay. Okay. There we go. Found it. Give me one moment. This is the first time, despite all my efforts in the past to try to get you guys to do things like spacewalk and stuff. This is the first time I've actually managed to get one of your characters out in space, and you're doing it without a damn suit. So, it's okay. Here we go. The rules. Okay, so it's a. Okay. Do me a favor. I'm going to need you to make me a this is going to be a fitness security check.
For whom?
For you.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to set the fitness security check with a difficulty of 2.
Okay, sounds good. My EVA focus will roll
No.
into this.
No. There's no focus that's going to help you. You're exposed to vacuum. If you had an EVA suit on, your EVA focus would help you.
It would go to training because, like, you train in what happens if things fail.
So your argument is that you're kind of doing the and then.
I mean, in the same
your
way that when
body.
you have scuba training, you train for what happens if your regulators broke.
Okay, I buy that. Yeah, I'll let you have your EVA focus. Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, it may not even end up being relevant. I'm taking a momentum. I don't know, like,
Yeah.
you know.
You should.
Honestly,
You super should.
I think you should take 2 more. Honestly, I think
No,
just
you
to
are
really
about
be
to
sure.
be surrounded by Jem'Hadar. We're saving those
To
for
be
you.
fair, Taeon generates his own momentum.
It generated quite a bit of momentum.
So if you want to
Yeah,
take
but
2
you can
more,
put it into damage later. You want it.
that is
don't
also
you?
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Hey, besides, I got a natural 1, so it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I got a natural 1. Let's see. I don't think we're going to get anything off that fitness security. That is correct. We're not. So yeah, it's just going to be 3 successes, but that brings us back up to full momentum.
Okay.
We live these.
In which case, you're going to suffer 4 points of stress,
I'll enjoy every minute of it.
but you're not going to immediately take an injury, which you would have, being exposed to both radiation, the suddenly shift of the atmosphere. It takes you a second to Aeon to realize what it is that Cadence is doing as all of the sudden the high G stress belts just extract out over on the seat and clamp them in. And a few moments later, you notice that they're not waiting for you to get on the transporter pad, and the door, the back end, first of all, alarms start to blare as the computer refuses to let Cadence do this. But Cadence, oddly familiar with the command override on the safety features for decompressing the interior of their fighter, almost without looking, taps this into the L cars with their fingers, and seconds later, you are nearly sucked out the back of the Peregrine fighter into the void. Cadence, your ears pop, and all of your skin suddenly just feels like it goes dead cold. You feel the immediate thrust of pressure in every capillary in your body as for a brief moment, vacuum basically takes over. You count maybe 3 seconds of hearing through that rush of blood and the sound of your heartbeat in your ears. The only sound you can hear right now as vacuum takes. You can hear the muffled alert of the alarm blaring inside the now emptied atmosphere of the Peregrine. Glancing back through your increasingly blurring vision, you see that Aeon is gone, not in the back of the Peregrine. Reaching forward, you tap very quickly, noticing the ice crystals that are forming on the surface of the L cars and your fingertips. You manage to type in the emergency sealant as the doors to the shuttle begin to close. Pressing a secondary button, emergency life support kicks in, and again, your ears pop as the entire interior begins to repressurize. You take a deep breath and feel your lungs no longer have to fight against the urge to collapse as you just your head hurts, your vision is a little blurry, you know you're going to have blotchy skin, and you know you've probably got crystals collecting in your eyebrows, but aside from that, shockingly, you're doing a lot better than Naomi Nagata did, so you're good there.
Can I make an argument that is complying with the value and it should gain a determination? Because that is, I am the best damn pilot in the Federation. I've ever seen it.
I would definitely say this is a prime example of why you should use your character's personal log to make a case for why you should gain experience for character arc points, because that was metal.
Yeah.
To Aeon, it's easy enough to gain control of yourself because you're in an EVA suit. The momentum that's carrying you outward from the Peregrine, you're still just maybe a foot or two off the surface. So it's easy enough for you to gain a foothold, literally, to like slow yourself down, almost like anime style, where you've been like punched by a fighter and you kind of skid across the surface until you get to a stop. You see the shuttle, the Peregrine reseal itself. And in remarkable answering the question as to wondering if Commander is still alive, you see the shuttle, the Peregrine, immediately angle itself and kind of right itself as soon as that door closes.
I think the moment I see it right itself, the moment I see it move at all and not just crash into the asteroid, I turn my attention.
Oh, that reminds me.
Oh,
because it was specifically requested. In about 1 minute, because of the delay, the USS Pride is going to detect that the interior of Cadence's Peregrine fighter was exposed to vacuum and that its emergency life support systems were manually overridden. What would you like to do to Aeon?
I'm making a beeline for this attack vessel. I'm trying to get on board.
You start hopping and rushing over to it. The gravity is not quite as bad as it is on Earth's moon. It's worse. And you are leaping and sailing across this landscape. And as you collide with the front, you get to the door and a heavy hit against it. It is open.
Wait, are you going to Casey or the
I'm going to attack
cloaked vessel? Oh my god. Okay.
You're going to Casey, right?
Oh no. We're going to try and get
You're going to try to get on board the Jim Hadar ship?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the shot at
Oh
Jin.
my
The
God.
idea was Taeon went for Jin. I'd try to pull Casey on transporters.
Okay. So, I see. I didn't catch that. So you're making
Yeah,
the
in case
assumption that...
Jin is on site, clear that, because what we see from this is they might not have a place to go back to, meaning Jin might be right there.
So, out of curiosity, Taeon, is the plan to attach yourself to the side of the Jem'Hadar vessel? How do you plan on getting in? What's the plan? Because I thought this was happening to rescue Casey. I didn't catch the Jin part. So reconfiguring this means that now the odds of the Jem'Hadar vessel spotting Cadence are going to go up as Cadence retreats. But that is... I want to know what you're going to do first.
Yeah.
This is some serious, like, motion picture action scene, Mission Impossible shit. So I would love to know what Taeon's planning on doing. In which case, because you were leaping forward, you see the Jem'Hadar attack vessel before you as it's powering up.
Like to remind you that we do have enough
honestly
momentum for you to get gear that you might need in this instance.
In all honesty, there's really no way to get into this now because it's 9:10.
That's it. So no.
There's no way to get into this now.
No.
So all you've got is a hope that somebody on that attack ship didn't happen to be sipping tea and looking out the window when Cadence pulled that fucking maneuver just now. And you have mere moments to figure out what you're going to do as that Jem'Hadar vessel is getting ready to leave the surface of the planet. You're going to have to pull some stuff here. And you're going to have to do it next episode. Where we leave off is the USS Pride racing at maximum warp, frustratingly far away and not going to arrive in time. By the time it gets there, this is going to be all over. You've got Taeon throwing yourself through 0G at a Jem'Hadar attack ship that is getting ready to leave the surface and possibly spot Cadence, who is now racing back to help Casey. Casey, who is under fire, presumably from 4 Jem'Hadar. And that's where we're leaving tonight's game. And probably the most pulse-pounding cliffhanger that I've ever had the players leave me on as a GM since I started running Star Trek adventures.
This is revenge for the cliffhangers you've just us on, Eric.
I just assumed you were going after Casey because I would never in a million years. I heard what I wanted to hear. I never thought in a million years you were going after the gym, but I'm rolling with this.
So much more foolish than that.
Yeah. Like now I get why you didn't use the transporter. All right. Well, I would encourage all of you to mark down this particular moment of the episode on your personal logs, because it's worth noting none of y'all have spent any XP since this campaign started. You're still literally rolling with the character stats from when we started. So you guys have got plenty to tack on there for when it's time. And this is definitely going to be one of those things where I'm like, yeah, make a note.
Yeah.
That is going to be where we leave you all tonight, Ox Crew. Definitely tune back in next Monday, as the GM also wants to know what is about to happen. We will catch you next Monday night at 6 p.m. here on the Last Excelsior. Until then, friends, hailing frequencies are closed and hopefully undetected.